Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to follow the Twitter and the Twitch, and here we go. Let's talk Jinx. A weekly Jinx video we do every Wednesday about anything to do with Jinx, as well as this video acting as a weekly discussion thread on the Jinx subreddit, our League of Jinx. Make sure to go check that out. And every 2 weeks when a new patch hits, we talk about that patch, changes to Jinx, changes that might affect Jinx, and something of a pseudo AD carry tier list to round it out. So without further ado, let's just jump into the patch specifically. There were no changes to Jinx directly, but there were several changes that might affect Jinx and other AD carries. For example, the biggest and probably major one being the release of Yuumi, the new cat book support mage that you'll probably see whether you want to see them or not. Every support will probably be trying to play them. They'll probably be banned quite often too. And one of the things you probably want to do is consider how does this champion synergize with, like, say, Jinx or whoever AD carry you're going to be playing with in the bottom lane. And if they don't synergize with them, what can you do regardless to try and possibly survive or win your lane? One of the things that stick out for me as a Jinx player with Jinx is at level 6 at least with their ultimate, you maybe can be able to, chain CC with the flame choppers or even slow them with zap to, help land that ultimate a bit better and go from there as a kill lane post 6. Pre 6 maybe not, but pre 6 maybe they just protect you and keep you alive more often, and so it's more of a farm lane. So that's what I mean. Look at what your champion does, look at what they do, and how that syncs up. With that being said, looking at other champions, there were changes to Bran actually. The E damage increased late, ratio increased. I think this is more of a mid lane Bran buff than a support Bran buff, but you might see Bran in the support role just because. People have already kind of thinking maybe Bran could be a counterpick to Yuumi if Yuumi ends up being super powerful, so that might be a reason why he's getting buffed too. Caitlyn, the good old hat lady, the W headshot damage is being increased. And that basically means if you step on one of those traps, it's going to hurt for a lot more than it already kind of did. So that being said, again, right, Yuumi, maybe they don't like poke lanes. This is something that people in theory crafting, by the way. So this is not 100% fact, but people are like, maybe, you want to poke something like a Yuumi out of lane and just harass them from long range with something like a Caitlyn or a Jinx, of course, or a Tristana, something like that. So this might help a little bit when you set up traps if you do catch them in one of them to do a bit more extra damage to them. Obviously, in the Jinx Caitlyn matchup, the situation here would also just be the range advantage Caitlyn will have to start off until Jinx can scale up the range. So there is that. Another change will be to Soraka. The Q movement speeds decrease, decays more slowly, decays more slowly, and the issue here was when they did this change, this was already supposed to be a thing, but it wasn't. The decay was like basically instant, it was basically useless, so it kind of spread out a little bit so it could be a bit better. Again, another support change to maybe go against, like I keep saying going against Yuumi because since Yuumi's so new, we don't really know specifically what counters are the same way we might know what other things are countered by. So until we know about counter matchups and stuff, it might be a difficult matchup just because this is the unknown. So maybe, Soraka, you can heal up a bit against Yuumi with the Q poke or whatever Yuumi's going to try and do, or vice versa. Maybe this is actually something that you can play into, or with Yuumi you can play into and actually succeed, so they're actually making it a bit stronger because Soraka might get countered by them. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. A bigger one people might actually care about though is the Vayne changes. The R tumble cooldown reduction now scales. So basically the tumble cooldown reduction was 50% at all ranks, and now it's 30, 40, and 50%, meaning that at rank 6 when they first get it, instead of being at that 50% already, it's only going to be at 30%. And the importance there is that basically, depending on how you consider the matchup, let's say again, Jinx and Vayne, you use the flame choppers to hopefully control the tumble, in which case, when they tumble and where they tumble. If you try and make them tumble early, for example, by just throwing the choppers on them to make them move and get that ability on cooldown before they can ult, or whatever the case is, right? Like, basically what they want to do with Vayne, the context is, Vayne is too powerful in the mid to early game, even though she's a late game champion. And even though this won't really affect her late game, the design is supposed to be to open up weaknesses, a more bigger window of weakness in the earlier game and the mid game. So as a Jinx, even if you can't beat her in lane still, maybe you can try and scale into the mid game and try and match her, maybe go pound for pound before that dreaded late game still comes. So that's the kind of the idea there. Lane matchup wise, probably won't affect too much, except that if they do pop off with the ultimate, it won't be on the same cooldown. It'll be a little bit, more, so maybe that they won't be permanently invisible, and so maybe you can have a bit moment to counterplay or just run away and survive. Zyra. Plants no longer take additional damage from basic attacks that do not trigger on-hit effects. Basically, if you're someone like Misfortune using Love Tap, they won't take double damage from the Love Tap proc. Instead, it'll just be still the one hit point for the plants. The plants are basically going to be a bit more resilient in lane. So in the lane matchup, if you're playing against one of these, the plants are maybe going to take a little bit extra time to kill than they already do. Maybe not, of course, using the minigun, the DPS and all that. Maybe it doesn't change too much. Again, a Yuumi matchup thing. This might be a thing to deal with Yuumi a bit better. And so again, if Yuumi ends up being just super powerful, this might be another counter pick that you might be like, hey, support player, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you know, Zyra apparently is pretty good into Yuumi. So if we're going to be playing against Yuumi, maybe you can play Zyra and I just figure out how to chain CC with you or something like that, and whatever, you know, there we go. When it comes to items, the two major items being changed in the patch. First and foremost, Essence Reaver. The attack damage is being increased from 65 to 70. The importance there is going to be, you know, AD carries, for example, in the matchups when we're talking about that might want to build Essence Reaver. Maybe it's a bit more appealing of an item, right? With the double IE Jhin build coming out, Sivir is considered a counter matchup to Jhin, and already you kind of saw people theory crafting, well, maybe you'll go at double IE, but instead of the second IE, it's Essence Reaver on Sivir to counter him if that becomes a bit more of a thing. Probably not, but just, you know, as an example, Sivir, someone that builds Essence Reaver, they might like this a bit more now. Lucian might want to build this a bit more now if he doesn't already, and he still goes like Black Cleaver, Bork. So that might be something that brings some of those more Essence Reaver AD carries like Xayah and stuff back into a bit more prominence, and we'll see. On the flip side of the coin, Goinzu's Rage Blade is getting nerfs. So that's like another nerf to Vayne, who probably doesn't rush. I don't believe Vayne ever built this item first anyways. It was like a second item. So lane phase will probably be over by the time Vayne was building it. But nonetheless, you know, Vayne, Varus, Kog'Maw, those on-hit AD carries, they're getting a little bit of a nerf because Rage Blade is getting a bit of a nerf. The Phantom hit frequency has been decreased from every 2 attacks to every 3 attacks. The armor penetration and the magic penetration is going from 6% plus 5% or 0.5% per level, 15% max, to just a 15% max. So instead of the extra, it's just 15 flat. So with that in mind, that is all of the major changes to AD carries, and none to Jinx, of course, on this patch. Honorable mention to the Battle Academia Ezreal skin, so people might be playing Ezreal a bit more just to play that skin. But let's actually jump to, say, champion.gg, for example, with the win rates and stuff like that for AD carries. What we see is actually Twitch and Kog'Maw are the top 2 AD carries. Jinx, without nerfs, has actually just fallen down a little bit to the 3rd place AD carry. Ashe and Vayne round that out. You have like Sivir, Misfortune, Draven, Xayah, Jhin, and rounding up the top 10. And you have things like Caitlyn, Tristana, Ezreal, Kai'Sa, of course Kalista, Lucian, Varus. They're all really in that bottom of the barrel of the AD carries. Not necessarily that they're bad either, right? But just that they're lower than all these AD carries up here. And what we're going to do now for our AD carry tier list is we're going to look at the changes that are coming this patch and then apply them to what we already see happening here. Now, of course, things can change, so keep that in mind. But as an example, Kog'Maw might be getting hit a bit by the Goinzu's Rage Blade changes. It might not be like a major nerf, so it might not drop like several percentiles. It might even be as little as like a 0.5% or just 1%. But in that instance, it would drop him below Jinx, as Jinx becoming a better AD carry than him on this next patch, since she's not receiving any nerfs of any kind, right? And he possibly is on his on-hit build. The flip side of that coin is we see a champion down here like Xayah, who's sitting at that 49, almost 50% win rate, and maybe the Essence Reaver change bumps her up a little bit into being like a decent AD carry, a 50% plus AD carry win rate. Ezreal, I have no idea, because he's actually pretty low, but again, a lot of people might be playing him because of the Battle Academia skin. He might drop further then, just because a lot of people will be playing him, winning and losing on him. But something like Varus, who's another on-hit AD carry, might actually go down even more because of the Rage Blade changes, while Lucian, who's pretty far down here at 46%, might actually be going up to more of a decent spot because the Essence Reaver changes. So that's what this actually might be a bit of a shakeup across the board. Even Caitlyn, who's down at 11 and just barely below 50, might bump up to 50 because her lane matchups just got a bit better. She can bully a bit better, and this all might actually for once get jumbled around a bit, because there were several videos we've done of this where like nothing really major changed. And again, this is hypothetical. We're just applying the changes we know that are coming to the trends we're already seeing. So it's not going to be 100% factual, but just something to keep in mind. Some of these AD carries are going to move just because nothing's happening to them. Because like Jinx, nothing's happening to them, but Kog'Maw might be getting worse, so she might be getting better as an AD carry on the next patch by default. Vayne might be getting worse, and Sivir might switch spots with her because Essence Reaver is a thing, right? Again, Lucian, who's kind of down here, he might bump up, but things like, you know, the Varus and stuff might bump down. Caitlyn's lane matchups might get better, and if you can win lane more often, you could probably win games more often. So basically, one thing to keep in mind, one thing to note is that, yeah, the general theme is it looks like these, you know, still the DPS auto-attacking AD carries look like they're going to be what's going to be kind of in still, the best AD carries you can pick, amongst those being like the Twitches, the Jinx, the Ashe. Apparently Sivir's going to be bumping up a bit. Kog'Maw will still probably be decent, to be honest, because he's already kind of decent as it is, and it won't be maybe a major nerf to him. Vayne's kind of getting double hit both by her ultimate and the Rage Blade changes. She's probably going to drop down unless you're like a Vayne main, in which case you probably will still be the same, because you'll still probably be able to make it work. And probably expect to see more Caitlyn, someone that can bully all of these laners up here. Caitlyn can bully most of those AD carries that are up there actually, at least until they scale in range as well. But expect more Essence Reaver AD carries right below those DPS AD carries. It's what I would probably say would be my prediction. Again, not 100% factual. In the comment section down below, let's have a conversation about this, right? Like, what do you think based off of the changes on this patch and the AD carries that we're currently looking at? What's not really changing? What is really changing? Your elo and how that maybe makes things vary, stuff like that. Comment in the comment section down below and let's have a discussion. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next because life can have a lot of kinks. So until this time, take care. GG, get jinxed. Thank you for watching and enjoy pizza responsibly.